All right. I hope I did the right one. So hello everybody. Welcome to the Q&A. Before I give you the introduction, I want to ask Summer a question. She was just sharing about how she used to take all of her tinctures straight up without water, and then she had a conversation with me, and I always recommend putting it in water except for rare cases like holy basil or calamus. So my question to you, Summer, is did you have you is there a difference you think in the effect of the tinctures when you take them straight up as opposed to in the water?
I feel like I haven't been taking them in the water long enough now to totally notice if there's like a difference, um but I mean I definitely have, a lot of my stuff has been this flimmy thing for a long time too, and I need to just be paying more attention to a lot of different things that I'm
Yeah,
putting in
and
there.
I
Um
honestly think like with the calamus where I said the taste kind of activates it, I think the only difference if you notice one would be the immediacy of it and not so much the
okay.
long-term effects.
Yeah, okay. Interesting. Well, yeah, I've definitely been taking them with water now. So, and I'm still a happy camper.
Good, good. All right, everybody, I'm going to go through the introduction really quick. Thank you everybody for being here. This is very exciting. This is the second live Q&A. I wasn't able to record the first one because I did it wrong, so fingers crossed I did it correctly this time. These are spaces that I like to create for us to practice critical thinking, practice asking questions, and then asking even more questions based off of that question, and really taking the time and using the brain power to look at everything as many ways as possible, gather as much information as we can before coming to a decision. So that's what and anybody that knows me knows that questions and exploring things to get to the roots and get to the truth is very, very important. So thank you all of you for joining this. I want to make it clear this is not just for me to answer questions. Whenever a question comes in, I will give my perspective and then I will open the floor for anybody else who might have something to suggest. That's what we did on the last Q&A, and it was awesome. I learned so much from every single person I interact with, and I want everybody to know, like, if you've learned a lot from me, I want you to know that I've learned just as much from you. So please, if you've got something you want to say, just say it. I will say, like, if things get too chaotic, I might have you like put your hand up or type something in the chat and then I'll call on you so we don't have a lot of people jumping on at the same time, but we'll just see how that flows. When you are using the chat, you want to make sure that it's going to everyone unless you are specifically sending it to one person, because sometimes it'll switch up and you'll just send it to one person when you wanted to send it to the chat. So with all that said, this is an offering from Community Nourishment Missionary. And yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you. Who wants to ask the next question?
What's your favorite herb to work with?
Oof. Uh, Gosh, I almost feel like that's asking me what's my favorite finger to use. Like I use them all. Um, oh man. So that is a hard question. My favorite herb to work with. I want to say
I, I'm getting juice boxes for tomorrow. No, you're not.
I'm gonna mute you, mama. Okay. Um, the first one that comes to my mind is a herb that I work with every single day. And there aren't a lot of herbs that I recommend we work with every single day, but that is lion's mane. I'm a really big advocate for lion's mane. I give lion's mane the credit for me to even be able to form complete sentences, let alone be as intelligent as I am. So lion's mane, reishi. I really like reishi. Those are things so when you ask that question, I'm just more like, okay, what do I work with every day? Solomon seal has a really special place in my heart. Solomon seal, if you're not familiar with it, it is a root. And it is so moistening to the connective tissue in the whole body. It's great for the bones, the tendons, the ligaments, the muscles. And I tend to run kind of dry, and I've got some stuff that goes on with my joints. Elecampane is going to be one of them. Elecampane. I make a joke at the markets. I'm like, I love this herb so much. I'd get it tattooed on my face. That's how much I love it. But Elecampane goes deep into the lungs and it breaks up unk and gunk, and then you will cough it up. And as you're coughing, and you cough that stuff up, but when you take it long term, it helps to actually restore the tissues of the lungs. And more than that, it also gets helps to get the gunk out of the upper digestive tract. The Latin name, some of you might be like, "Oh man, I've heard this 100 times. I love this herb so much." The Latin name for elecampane is Inula helenium. It is loaded with inulin, which is a prebiotic fiber that feeds the good bacteria, quote unquote, good bacteria. Don't get me started on that, but it helps to support a healthy microbiome. Yeah, nettles is great. Linden, holy basil. Um, Albizia. So I use my stabilized blend a lot the last few months, and that's got like holy basil, albizia. So I guess that's a question you'd have to ask me every day. Like, hey Kim, what's your favorite herb today?
That's right.
If anybody else has a favorite herb that Jose said ashwagandha. Yes, so Jose, ashwagandha is a great herb. However, it is one of those herbs that has been just like super marketed right now and is one of those cure-all, adaptogens. And so here's my experience with ashwagandha and just my experience. I use ashwagandha a lot for men and for women about over the age of 40, 45, because it does help to boost testosterone, especially in younger women. Kind of like cordyceps. I talk about this a lot with cordyceps and with younger women, especially if they have tendencies towards endometriosis or PCOS, elevating the testosterone levels can actually make those conditions worse. Um, and I just recently started carrying it as a tincture at the markets. And what I do with people, especially young women, is I ask them if they've already worked with it before because it affects everybody differently. So some people it will give them energy, while other people it will put them to sleep. So if they've already worked with it before and they know it's good for their body, I'm not here to tell them that they're wrong. It's their body, so I'll give it to them. But if they haven't, I just kind of give a warning and then steer them towards something different, like Schisandra or holy basil. Sylvia, yep, most herbs I'm going to talk about tonight I do have. So if anybody's interested, I've got them in tea form, capsule form, tincture form. I can make anything. What's my opinion on methylene blue? All right, you guys. So with methylene blue, I thought it was really cool. And I bought some myself and I still have it. And it was really concentrated, but really pure. It was third party tested. And I was mixing it with vitamin C. And I would do 1 drop and then I would go up to 2 drops. And what I found is it really does help the gut to produce serotonin. And when I would take it at night, I would notice a significant difference in my mood the next day. I really do think it was helping with my serotonin levels. But the more that I dove into it and I started asking about it, it's literally the byproduct of an industrial process. It is almost like margarine, it is a byproduct. And now as time is going on, they're starting to find that people who take methylene blue, their brain literally is dyed blue from it.
What?
Yeah, so I won't take it now just because of how impure it is. It's not pure, it's not natural. While I loved the effects it was giving me, I just think that it's really, while it's not new, it's been around for a long time and they've used it. I think it's gaining enough traction for them to really start doing some research, and I'm not liking what they're finding.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for asking that, though. Does anybody else have any opinions, perception about methylene blue? All right. Let's see. Sylvia says she takes niacin. Why? If you don't mind sharing, I'm just curious why. I took niacin one time and I just don't think I'll ever do that again.
Me too, Kim. Me too.
But then again, like zinc, a lot of people love zinc and I think it's great. But if I take a zinc supplement, I literally throw up like 20 minutes later and I am not a thrower up or I'm not one to vomit. So everybody's body is so different. And if someone did want to chime in about methylene blue, just let me know. Um, am I able to ask about heartburn? You all can ask about anything and everything that's related to health, wellness, and sustained vitality. And I've been talking about sustained vitality a lot lately, but I haven't really said anything about like what that means to me. And so sustained vitality, the vision that I have for it is where we not only like do these things to feel better, but we create a lifestyle and create these habits that help us to feel good over time. And I don't want to say all the time because we're not supposed to, we go up and down, but we're also not supposed to have these low lows and these high highs. So sustained vitality is just this sense of well-being, feeling good in your mind, your body, and spirit consistently.
Yeah.
So, heartburn. There are a few things. For one, I always have some questions like, do you experience your heartburn before eating, after eating? Um, do you recognize if there are certain foods that might trigger your heartburn? And this is one of the reasons I'm a big advocate for food journals because eating is one of the most important things that we do. And unfortunately, a lot of our eating habits are kind of unconscious, and a lot of us live really busy lifestyles. So, we just eat because we have to or get our food through a window where we're not bringing a lot of awareness to what we're eating. And when we don't have that awareness, we also don't recognize how the foods that we are eating might affect us. And so, by keeping a food journal for even just 4 weeks, you write down what time it is, you write down what you're eating, you set an alarm on your phone. 20 minutes later, you do a quick body scan and write down what you might feel in your body. And then you will be able to start to recognize patterns, pick up on patterns of, wow, okay, now that I have all of my awareness on this, here I was, I thought apples were healthy. But now I realize that, a little bit after eating an apple, my stomach kind of hurts and I have acid reflux. But some of my favorite things to do, if you're in a pinch, you've got just severe heartburn and you've got some mustard in your refrigerator, that's just an old West Virginia mountain remedy that I learned when I was a kid. But like a teaspoon of that, um, meadow sweet, one of my most favorite herbs. It is so alkalining to the body. And now, I always like to remind people this when I use that word. We need acid in our body. We need acidity. We don't want to have a 100% alkaline body. We cannot live like that. But everything has its place and what its ratios. So meadow sweet, making a tea of meadow sweet. The tincture can help, but with things like heartburn, that water is going to just bring a lot more medicine to it. Marshmallow roots. I talk a lot about marshmallow root, and you make a cold brew with marshmallow root, and it's thick. And when you drink it, you can just feel it go in and just coat. You can even feel it coat your kidneys. So meadow sweet, marshmallow root, mustard when you're in a pinch. Those would be my go-tos. But the most important part is what's causing the heartburn and what can I do to avoid it. Eating plenty of fruits and vegetables, especially in the morning with the fruits, cantaloupes, watermelons, honeydews, berries, bananas. Just making sure that you're nourishing your body because your body is amazing. It knows how to bring itself into a state of harmony. It knows how to heal. And when we give it real food, real data, it's able to correct those things. So, does anybody else have a suggestion for heartburn?
The tea you made me.
Oh, yeah. So the tea I made Michelle. Oh, yeah. All right, Michelle. I don't want to share any of your information, but I did make her a tea of agrimony, meadowsweet, and lemon balm, and she was struggling with some serious heartburn, and we're on the up and up on that.
Oh, yeah, I need that.
It's good.
Yeah.
Who
It's
else?
really helped a lot. It's helped a lot. Then, like today, my pedicurist said my feet are peeling, so maybe that's my feet also doing a detox from
That's
here to
probably
there.
the magnesium oil.
Oh, the oil. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you can tell I'm doing something. Then I'm not bull crapping. I'm really want to. I really want to change. Like I always find, like when I'm emotional, like somebody's hurt my feelings or something, I feel like I'm gonna reach for something sweet or something not good for me, and those are the things that I've been really like honing in on, or what foods that really will not agree with my body, and I'm not going backwards with that. Just like Cameron said, the food journal it's so telling, and I'm grateful, that I want to do this for myself. Like this ain't for nobody in this group, and I'm grateful for all y'all being here because I see that y'all want to do the same for yourselves.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you. Thank you.
Aw.
Did somebody else want to tune in about the heartburn?
Hey, I'm curious, how do you feel about like the digestive bitters that people make? I had gotten some
Yes.
vinegar bitters
Yes.
specifically from someone.
I love
Curious
that.
how you feel about that.
Um, I love digestive bitters because they really help to like get the gallbladder stimulated and start releasing bile to help break down the food better and process it better and that. So thank you for that. Like fennel, there are just, and then people make, fennel is my favorite. I like to keep things simple, but there are so many different bitters out there. Anise, calamus is one of them, where if you take these bitters and you put, take a dropper full of two in a glass of water, ounce of water, 15 minutes before and sometimes 15 minutes after eating. It's just going to kickstart that digestive process for you. Love bitters. And also, since you said that there's vinegar in there too, vinegar can really help because some people, it, it's really interesting. Sometimes they're not creating enough acid and it is actually contributing to the heartburn. And vinegar just really helps to play that role that the acid isn't to break the food down. I feel like I know Valentina's got some good stuff to say about vinegar.
Hey.
Hey,
Yeah, I wanted to share some stuff about the heartburn. Well, you both already mentioned it, but I actually am currently eating, I like to chew on fennel seeds too. And in India, they have like this Ayurvedic blend that it's like three doshak. So for any type of constitution, which is equal parts of fennel seeds, coriander seeds, and cumin seeds. And that also it's really good for digestion because cumin seeds are good for digestion too. So sometimes I like to make a tea out of it, but you can chew it. And then yeah, with the vinegar in Chinese medicine, it's known as the great alchemizer. So it's in a way, it's like it kind of like brings everything together and amplifies the nutrients. So things like vinegar and lemon juice, because of the acid, actually make the nutrients in vegetables more bioavailable. So personally, I always like to cook my veggies with a little bit of salt first and then a little bit of vinegar. Like, and a little bit goes a long way, and it's gonna amplify the flavors, but it'll also amplify the absorption and help with digestion because yeah, most people that have heartburn, like you're not producing enough acid. And then just last one is your mental state. Like if you're stressed, you are gonna get on digestion, like you're gonna get in digestion. So also taking care of our mind, which also, there's the as a whole topic, but yeah, things like the Tulsi Cam was saying, or even the calamus, I think in some ways,
chamomile.
yeah, chamomile, because yeah, it's like calming down the mind. That way you're not cramping up from tension, like from stress.
Yeah, so much of our nervous system is in our digestive system, and chamomile is one of my favorites. Now, whenever I mention chamomile, I like to mention that when you make a chamomile tea, if you get the bags from the grocery store, you want to use like three of those bags. But when you make chamomile, you want to make it strong. I use like 4 tablespoons to a quart, and it's so medicinal, but a bag or even 1 tablespoon isn't going to do a lot. And then before I forget, back to the vinegar, I make this new thing. Well, it's not new. We've had it for like half a year, but I call it Liquid Life. And when you make like tinctures and oils, different menstruums, that's what it would be called, alcohol, vinegar. These are the menstruums. Different menstruums extract different constituents from plants. So alcohol actually does not extract minerals very well at all, but vinegar does. Those are called acetums when you make it with vinegar. So I have it's called Liquid Life, and I wanted it for people that wanted more minerals, but maybe they don't like taking capsules. And it made it easier, but it is pretty strong. So what I've been doing now is after I cook my vegetables, I just like drizzle some of the Liquid Life onto the vegetables and eat it. Uh, Vinegar shots like apple cider vinegar, and a lot of people will do that in the morning. I personally can't do that. It doesn't sit well with me. But some people do, but I still think it's so strong that doing that every day over time, it can't be good for your throat and the esophagus.
Your teeth. Your teeth.
And your teeth, yeah. Yep. Let's
Hello.
see. What's my insight in pearl powder? I'm not familiar with pearl powder. Is that where they are like taking actual pearls from the oyster and turning it into powder? I'm just gonna assume that might be wrong, but if they did that, that sounds expensive, and I would bet that it's got a lot of minerals in it.
Yeah, Cameron, you are correct. It is actual pearls that they crush, and there are lots of great minerals in it. It is really good for, I guess, eye and I guess lubrication, moisture. Another way of getting collagen. It has selenium in it. So I'm just starting to research to see if I can find something.
I think it sounds awesome, and like I said, it does also sound expensive, but I like how you said that it's moistening. So minerals are very yin nourishing. Yin in Chinese medicine is like where yang is fire and heat and outward, yin is in and damp and soothing. So minerals are really, really great for that.
Thanks.
Samsung said cucumber gives me heartburn. Interesting.
Lighten, brighten, and
I'd be
refresh your
curious to
skin with the
know.
new Moxie
Oh,
Detox
I'm
Supplements with
gonna
Dark
mute you,
Laser.
my friend.
Safe for all.
There we go. What was I saying? I'd be interested to know, Samsung, how, like, when you say cucumber, is it just eating cucumbers plain? I love to make cucumber water, which I have found to be really like cooling. So if you don't mind sharing how you, or if it's just anything with cucumber at all. Amy says mustard works. Sylvia, I take baking soda with water. When I was pregnant, I had bad heartburn, and that's the only thing that ease the burn. Okay. I'd be curious to know what baking soda you use. I just recently in the last 6 months or so have started nebulizing with pure sodium bicarbonate. And it's just pure sodium bicarbonate, and it's been really cool what I can almost immediately physically feel in my chest when I do that. And you did it while you're pregnant. Very cool. Hormones are crazy for me. What do you suggest? So with something like hormones, there is not an herb or a food or a single thing that you can take for hormones. Hormone imbalances are often a result of too many toxins in the environment, not enough nutrients. And when I tell you guys, when I say laundry detergent, air fresheners, perfumes, car fresheners, a lot of fake incenses. Oh my gosh, the candles that they sell us. All of these things are endocrine disruptors. They just brutally attack the endocrine system and really your whole body, the lymphatic system, all of it. So I would definitely suggest removing as many toxins as you can. And I'm working on some literature right now for everybody because and it's unfortunate, and this is why I get so passionate about this, is because there's just everywhere we turn, for some reason, it's just these things that we're using on a daily basis that are harming us. The pans that we cook in, the plastics that we drink out of, the food that we are eating. And while it can be overwhelming, it doesn't have to be, especially if you have someone to help you and do it with you. But just slowly removing, start with all the artificial fragrances right away. Get them out. I am not even welcome in some people's homes anymore because I can't help myself. When I see it plugged in, I got to take it out and throw it away. But it's because I love you. What else? Sometimes even like a lot of the clothes, polyester, especially if you're sweating in it, our skin is our largest organ, and so when the pores are open and we're sweating, and then we're sweating onto these clothes, we can absorb those chemicals. But that would be one that I would worry about last. First, get all the artificial fragrances out. Switch your cookware to like stainless steel, porcelain, glass. Get rid of all of your plastic cooking utensils and replace them with either stainless steel or wooden cooking utensils. Um, do your best to filter don't drink tap water, but also you don't have to go crazy with these Kongans and expensive machines. They're great if you can do it. But I, for the longest time, had a Brita water filter, and I put like stickers and love and all the things on it, but just try to reduce toxins as much as possible. Let's see. Where's everybody's questions? Yeah, like Sylvia said, you can make your own laundry detergent. You can. Now, if you don't have the time or the desire to make your own laundry detergent, one of my favorite laundry detergents is Zum, Z-U-M. You can get it at most like Winn-Dixie, Publix. I know people are all over the country, so whatever large grocery store you have, most of them have it. You can get it on Amazon. What I like about it is they make it with like 3 to 5 ingredients, but it still has that good smell. They use nice essential oils because some people just don't want to give up that nice, fresh, clean clothes smell. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to add? All right. Let's see. Valentina, we got your suggestions. Can you use too much magnesium oil? That's a great question. So one experience that I had once is I woke up one day and I just covered my body from head to toe with magnesium oil. And if you haven't heard my whole spiel on magnesium oil yet, wherever you spray it, it dilates, it relaxes muscles, tissues, blood vessels, and it stimulates blood flow. Magnesium chloride is very stimulating. And that's why when you put it on your feet at night, it helps you to sleep because it's relaxing all the blood vessels down by your feet and pooling the blood down. But when you put it on your upper body, it's stimulating that flow of blood up. So I try to remind people not to use magnesium oil on their upper body before they go to bed because it can literally prevent you from sleeping. But anyways, that day I sprayed my whole body with it and I had so much energy. It was concerning. I had to take a bunch of liquids in and calm down. Um, I also learned that for myself, I can you can spray too much on, especially if it's just pure magnesium oil and you're not mixing it with a carrier oil like coconut or castor oil. Um, and you spray too much on, it can actually burn you. I've never had like myself or have seen physical burns, but it has definitely felt like that before. And then with any like magnesium or with anything really too, you always want to look out for like diarrhea if you're having too much diarrhea, or if you're having diarrhea. Now, diarrhea is not necessarily a bad thing. It's a good process that we have in our body to get toxins out, but you don't want to have diarrhea for more than 24 hours because then you start to get the chance of dehydration. Um, let's see. Bless, yes. Something for eye care for our eyes. So, Nancy, that's the next part of my body that I'm going to be diving in on very, very soon. But one thing, you can get eye cups and get like solutions and rinse your eyes out. I've been putting castor oil over my eyes in the mornings. Some people can do this at night and sleep well, but castor oil moves a lot of blood and fluid too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so sometimes putting castor oil on your face at night can actually keep you up. Castor oil carries things deep into the body and moves them.
I
Uh,
see.
but in the morning, just putting it around your eyes and then just hanging out for a little bit. Also sun gazing where you're waking up and going outside and watching the sun rise, and then that same day going outside and watching the sun go down. Avoiding blue lights and artificial light after a certain time at night. Um, what else? Good, healthy, good vegetables, real food. The liver opens into the eyes. So I know for
Mm.
myself, I'm going to target my liver and I'm going to be doing a lot of castor and magnesium oil packs over my liver. Does anybody else have any experience or suggestions for eyes?
Shoot. Oh, shoot. Did I lose her? Oh,
No, you're here, Mama.
okay.
But I was reading somewhere about how our eyes are actually, because we're 70% water. I don't recall if it's by volume or molecular count, but on the one that's like the molecule, we're actually 99% water, and our eyes are like literally 99% water. And so I just think that, or not what, okay, sorry, I'm getting my thoughts. I don't have any calamus to calm me down.
Take some for you.
What is really interesting is that they're actually finding how water almost has memory. Like they have been doing something called hydroglyphs. Like water will remember different images of what it's presented. So if we take that to ourselves and we recognize our eyes are mainly water, that we're mainly water, then I think I just want to put a message to also be aware of what we watch. And I don't just mean on like what are you scrolling on your phone on your TV, but I mean like have time in the day where you're looking out at nature, where you're looking out in the sky, because through our eyes, we are also like feeding more subtle energies that make up our dream time and what we dream about. Like what are your dreams? What are your goals? And it's also, I don't recall if it's connected. I believe it's also to the liver because it's also related to Chinese medicine. But just to bring this awareness that we also eat through our eyes. So to
Yeah.
look at beautiful things that inspire you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I love
Beautiful.
that. Thank you. Sylvia says castor oil also helps to grow hair or eyelashes. Okay.
That's awesome.
I think this question was for you, Valentina. Amy said, "Do you swallow the seeds?" Are you talking about the fennel seeds that she was chewing on? Do you swallow those seeds, Valentina?
Yes, that's what I was wondering.
I mean, I just swallowed them. So I chew them and then I mean, there's nothing wrong with swallowing them. They're food. So personally, I do, but I guess once they're out of their flavor, you don't have to because it's really the flavor that's gonna activate the digestive enzyme. So up to you, but personally, I would. You know, a little extra fiber, probably good for you. So.
And while we're talking, since you said enzymes, something that's really important is I really recommend against people taking digestive enzyme supplements. When you take digestive enzyme supplements, you're actually hindering your body's own ability. Your body stops making them. It's just like, hey, obviously I don't need to make this anymore. And it can, I believe in the body so much that I don't want to say it can like permanently hinder that, but it kind of can. It's almost like if you take laxatives over time, your intestinal tissue gets really lax and it loses its tone and strength, and then your body can lose its ability to have normal, regular, natural bowel movements. So, things like fennel, calamus helps, those bitters that Summer was talking about. And one of my favorite things for people who are really struggling to produce enzymes is to eat papayas, especially like, nice ripe papayas, but I would recommend against taking supplemented digestive enzymes. Becky, you're Samsung. All right. Thank you, Becky. Yeah, plain cucumber sometimes gives me heartburn. Okay, that's really interesting. Sylvia said, I recently got diagnosed with copper deficiency. My body will not absorb copper. My seroplasmin is low too. Now my doctor says they don't know what to do. What do you think I should try? My twins have it too. That's really interesting.
Oh, wow.
I want to look into that. I know that all minerals require other minerals for their absorption. So I don't know. And also too, magnesium, this blows my mind. They take your blood for your magnesium levels, and it is a fact that less than 2% of your magnesium levels can even be found in your blood. So if they're taking your blood and telling you that your magnesium levels are low or high, it's not really accurate. I will say if your blood is saying that it's low, you really might want to get on that. But I don't know if you've tried magnesium chloride, the external spray. What I also too, so magnesium was one of the key elements that our bodies evolved from, and our bodies were made by magnesium, with magnesium, not just magnesium, but it's definitely a key player. So our bodies expect to have it, and then throughout human history, we would get so much of it from our food. We actually need a certain amount of magnesium level in our body to even be able to absorb magnesium from the food or supplements that we take. So if you're already low, magnesium goes into the digestive tract and it's competing with minerals like calcium and potassium. So now it's competing. It already doesn't have enough to absorb it. Most of the time, you're getting anywhere from maybe 30 to 70% of it. But magnesium chloride, because you're putting it on topically, it absorbs through the skin and goes into the bloodstream, and then your body sends it where it's needed the most. So if you haven't tried magnesium chloride already, try that. And then I'm going to make a note, Sylvia, and dive into that and see what information I can find for you. So let's see. Does anybody else have any suggestions for that? All right. Well, we can talk about it at the next Q&A if Sylvia is okay with that. Let's see. And with your twins, Sylvia, I want to say what are they like 2 or 3 years old now? With the children, what you can do is take a tablespoon of coconut oil with the babies, start with just like 1 or 2 squirts of the magnesium oil, and you can increase it as time goes on and mix that mixture up really well, and then apply it to the bottom of their feet. Even just a little bit, you can start poco and poco, little by little, and then gradually increase, but I think it will help them a lot. She says my iron sometimes gets really high and it can absorb into organs and it's dangerous. So with that, so that too, oftentimes if your iron levels are really high, magnesium plays a huge role in breaking down, using and recycling other minerals like iron. So I would try it. Okay, you said you haven't tried. Okay, great. I think that that's going to be big for you. I do. Magnesium chloride. Um, and when you start working with magnesium chloride, if you are deficient in it, it can actually make you the area that you sprayed it itchy and uncomfortable. So if anybody experiences that, just know it's because you're deficient. And the more that you use it, the more that that will go away. And in the meantime, that's when you can mix it with, again, coconut, castor, sesame, olive oil, any carrier oil, and it will make the itchy go away. Almost two. Okay. I do have it. Yeah, I've got some great magnesium oil, you guys. It's so
The
much like I
best.
make. Oh, thank you. I make just plain magnesium oil, and then some people will, I know Jose likes to put some essential oils in his, so you can also do that. Let's see. All right. Aw, thank you, Brian. Cucumber on eyes? I don't see why not, especially with what Valentina shared about how much, cucumbers are water too, mostly water. Summer says, do you know anything about Spanish moss for gut pH? Spanish moss? No.
I was having like my bowel movements were just like different textures all the time. Kind of like the not how often they were happening, but like the consistency of them was like kind of varying a lot. And I go to this holistic chiropractor guy here in Gainesville, and he did some like muscle test stuff for some different supplements that they carry. And my body gave a big fat yes answer to a product called Zymex. It's by the Standard Process brand, I believe. And the like main active ingredient, I think it's only like 3 ingredients. I don't remember right now. I don't have my bottle super handy, but I think there's like 3 ingredients. But the main ingredient was Spanish moss, and I was just like, "What in the world?" And I had never heard of Spanish moss as like an herb, and didn't know it was used medicinally at all. And so that was kind of fascinating. I'm also fascinated by when we are like attracted to different herbs or plants, um, like physically attracted to them and like feel some kind of connection. And I've always had this deep connection with Spanish moss. So that was fun to discover.
If you
So
don't
yeah,
mind sharing, and if you don't want to, that's fine too. Were you having more like diarrhea or constipation?
it was movements were happening and they were like softer, not like diarrhea, but softer, and then would be like more hardened sometimes, and but more on the softer side, but just kind of like varying, sometimes different color.
Okay, because I know
Um,
I've put Spanish moss in my mouth before, and I do remember it being kind of astringent, my mouth.
okay.
Yeah, that's really
Something new for you
interesting.
too. Yeah, something new for Cameron to dive into.
I know we have
Let
so
me know
much
what
of
you
it.
find.
Let's see. Valentina says whole food sources will always be better than supplements. That is true. We're gonna see some walking around chewing on Spanish moss all the time.
Let me say real quick again too, it was I think it I shared that when you were talking about you don't recommend digestive enzymes. And so yeah, I was curious when you said that, I felt like this was something similar to a digestive enzyme, but it was Spanish moss. So I'm curious. I don't know, I don't really know. I kind of just like,
So
okay.
kind of like with the
Take it,
papaya.
so I just tried it. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like with the papaya that I talked about the papaya. Even what you're doing with the Spanish moss is you're eating the Spanish moss. Like people are eating the papaya, but with these digestive enzyme supplements, they are actually isolating the enzymes from the entire plant and now
Um,
turning it, I call those more drug-like when, and a lot of supplement companies even do it. A lot of times we're taking supplements thinking that it's natural, but when you look, you'll see these
no.
these extracts and these isolated concentrated constituents from plants. And I view plants as communities because they are. So one plant has this community of constituents, and while we think this one constituent is the main constituent, so then we take it away from its community, concentrate it, make it stronger, it no longer has its community to help it do its job anymore, so it can actually have severe side effects. So that is
Right.
by eating foods or plants that either have enzymes in them or support your body's own process in producing enzymes, completely different than taking enzymes. Let's see. Somebody asked with a big, I'm going to call you a DFC, said how to lower high iron and fibrinogen. Again, definitely magnesium. Magnesium chloride is a great place to start. And then I like to take magnesium glycinate, but oftentimes, if you, with these minerals in your body, if one is higher than the other, or you have these imbalances, it's probably because you don't have enough of something else. Becky said, "That's me, girl. We all poop." Yeah, I love talking about poop. All right. Jose, are you still in here? I got to the last of the questions. Why don't you hit me with yours?
Thank you for the call out. Well, okay, so I just wanted to know, or if you want to share your thoughts on fasting, and specifically, I'm looking for your preference or your recommendation on it's is it better intermediate fasting, do 16/8, or do 3-day fasting, 5-day, 7-day fasting, and what what happens after? What what are you drinking to break the fast? What are you eating? And those sort of things. Sorry, it's a
Okay.
lot.
No, no, thank you. Thank you. So fasting has always been, I've always been not sure about it, but only I want to be clear because of my own personal kind of bias. But something I have observed in people over the years, I think fasting is a great idea. I think fasting is a better idea for men than it is for women. So I think it is safer for men to go on longer 3 to 7 day fasts. I do personally think, that beyond that, is you got to be careful. You've got to be careful, especially, like I said, we're just surrounded by a lot of toxins. And when you're fasting, your body is a lot more sensitive and susceptible to things around it. I'm a big advocate for the intermittent fasting, stop eating by 6 p.m. and don't eat again until like 8 a.m. or whatever, whoever wants, whatever window you want. So that way it's every day, every single day, you're giving your body that window to just not focus on digesting food that you're eating, but actually digesting everything that's already in there, bad bacteria, pathogens, gunk, things like that. It just gives your body more ability to clean itself out. And then in the morning, like I like to break my fast every day with a cup of hot lemon water, and I'll put my tinctures in there. For people who do extended fasts, and again, like if you have diabetes, cancer, any type of metabolic issues, if you are not, and if you're in a poor state of health in this moment, you've got to be really careful fasting, and I recommend seeking out a professional to help you to do it. But if you are generally pretty healthy, your body's strong, because you also, that's a big job for the body. So while it's detoxing, it needs strength to do that. It needs nutrients to do that. And if you don't have that, it can overwhelm your body. So always keep that in mind. And then when you go to break the fast, one of my favorite ways to break fast and recommend that people do it is bone broths. And just the broth, you want to think liquid. When you drink liquid, your body doesn't have to work as hard to break that down. And those nutrients that come in the bone broth are just so ready to be absorbed. Teas like with nettles, red raspberry leaf, just nutrient rich herbs. And then just slowly start, and especially like if this is your first fast or you're kind of resetting your body for the first time, start with just small amounts of solid food and pay attention to how your body responds to it, because this is also an excellent time for you to get that data, get to and be able to clearly see, okay, my body's responding this way to cheese. All right. Um, let's see, does Valentina or anybody else have a recommendation for fasting or an opinion?
Cameron, thank you so much for answering that question on fasting, because that is something that I have looked into for myself, and with my liver condition. What I have found is what I do is the intermittent fasting. I try to find 1 day a week between 12 to 16, 17 hours. The rest of the week, and I make sure that I can be around and have liquids. I do not deprive my body of any water whatsoever. I'm always hydrating. What can happen to the liver, and 50%, approximately 50% of the population in the US has some kind of liver disease, usually undiagnosed. And there's many different types. So what happens with the liver, which you started to touch on, is that the liver then looks for the sugar. And then that's how you get fatty liver. So fatty liver happens to be probably one of the largest population disease. Thank you for having this discussion on that.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing that, because I want more information, and I'm so curious to see what the liver is doing. And I know I work with a lot of people clinically, and fatty liver disease comes up often. And I recently had like a 21-year-old girl that was diagnosed with fatty liver disease, and she came from a great family. You know what I mean? Like there was no alcohol, no drugs, no real reason
Right.
involved, but it's the sugar and the high fructose corn syrup. Um, you guys, I
Yeah.
don't want to get
So
all.
what I have learned and what I do is I have absolutely no sugar, including honey, unless I was sick or there was something going on. I needed to hydrate really in a quick way for bowel movements or something. I'll just have like a dab of that. But the liver has a really hard time deciphering what is sugar and what isn't sugar and what to do, and it doesn't like to be deprived. So, and I find if I do too much of a fasting, and so I try to end by 5 o'clock my dinner, have a little liquid, take my pill when I have to, and then I wait until the morning, as long as I'm not working out, doing, any kind of walking excessively, whatever. I will take that 1 day, and that's the day that I hang around the house and I've got my water. And if I need anything, it's there. I'm not afraid to put, nutrients in. And yes, you are right in taking your time, but it is normal for fatty liver to happen if you fast because of what I've just explained. But that also diabetes. So people with liver disease are could be prone to diabetes. They're kind of like one and the same. So what I have to do is stick to 15 grams of sugar based on the fruits and berries and things that I eat. And I try and do that in the morning.
Okay. I also love recommending to people to do their fruits in the morning because that sugar, it's still good sugar. Sometimes the body can't decipher the difference, but I do, and they say that, but I do believe that there's a huge difference between processed refined
Yeah.
sugar and the sugar in fruits, but it's still glucose spikes in the body and glucose that your body has to process. So when you eat it in the morning, you have a whole day of activity that you can use that glucose and that energy that comes from the fruits. And based off what you just shared, Sharon, I'm just intuitively thinking that doing a fast, it wouldn't hurt to do castor oil packs over your liver while you're fasting too, to just help keep blood and fluid
Hmm.
to and through. And if it is, reaching out for sugar and holding on to it, it can help to break that up and move it away. And when I do castor oil, and always remember, you guys, for the longest time, I thought the liver was on the left side, and I don't know why. It was just like this lean to there, but it's on the right side, right? Like underneath your rib cage, on the upper abdomen. And I like to spray the area with magnesium oil first and let that dry a little bit to just open everything and then apply the castor oil. Now, some people have castor oil packs. I put a clean rag over that and then I'll put a heating pad on top of that to just again, I'm all about most of the healing arts that I practice is um relaxation and blood and nutrient flow. I love blood and lymphatic fluid. We have four main fluids in our body, and these fluids are play the biggest role in delivering nutrients and carrying away waste. So the more that you can increase blood flow to areas of your body and making sure that you're putting nutrients in your body to be carried to those areas, the better off you are. And I wanted to share too. I don't want to get too dark, you guys, but we've got to be kind of on it. In the last year, I have worked with a few different 17-year-olds that were diagnosed with Crohn's. And like one of them, in less than of a year of being diagnosed with Crohn's, they removed over 90% of his large intestines at 17
Oh,
years old. He will
oh my
have a
God.
bag for the rest of his life. And Crohn's is caused by two things: trauma and poor nutrition. And yep, being bombarded by artificial fragrances and chemicals, that strips minerals from us. So these artificial fragrances, when these toxins into your body, minerals like magnesium
Oh,
and all of the minerals play a role in binding to the toxins and carrying them out. But if we're overloaded with toxins, the minerals in our body are focusing more on that instead of the infinite amount of jobs that they have in our body. So, while it is like when you look at the whole picture, it's like, oh my gosh, this is overwhelming. We're being poisoned everywhere. What are we going to do? It is overwhelming. And I want you to recognize that that's real, but also realistically, it's just little by little. All right, let me get rid of these things here and just step by step, slowly start transitioning the things that you have. And before you know it, you will have a clean, I don't want to say toxic free environment because I don't know that we can aim for that, but the more that you can reduce, the better. So let's see. Becky said, so speaking of fast, is coffee okay for breaking fast? I usually do black coffee, but have been doing some nut creamer. Because coffee, I love coffee. And if anybody hasn't read the article I posted like last week, it's on the website, Coffee as Medicine. I'm a big advocate for coffee, but never that diabetes in a cup they're giving you through the window. Coffee's great, but also, it does stimulate the adrenals. It can raise your cortisol levels. And don't get me wrong, like the mornings where I'm doing market, I'm not making my hot lemon water first. I'm up, I drink a glass of water, and I get right to the coffee. But on the days that I'm not, I do my best to start it with the hot lemon water because that just helps. The liver was working all night, and anything that might have been building up in there, it helps to just get it out. Um, Black coffee, I mean, I guess if you are going to break your fast with coffee, black coffee isn't bad. There's no like fats in there. So I don't even know if technically you are breaking your fast with black coffee. I'm not 100% sure on that. But yeah, water's best. Like definitely when you wake up in the morning, drink a glass of water first. And something I learned from one of my teachers was when you wake up in the morning, Don't just like down a whole glass of water. Do sip by sip because when you down the whole glass of water, you're actually kind of disrupting your microbiome and like sending the shock to your digestive system first thing in the morning. So wake up, get your room temperature is best. Cold is kind of like death for the digestive system. That's one of my, especially I had Crohn's for 15 years. When I work with people with Crohn's or severe digestive ailments, you want to view your digestive system as a fire. And when you eat, that fire helps to break down the food. It helps to absorb the nutrients. So whenever we drink ice water or iced beverages or we're eating ice cream, even my smoothies in the morning, if I use frozen berries, I use boiling water for the smoothie. Um, yeah, so in the but that's I just like to always share that. But start your day at the very least, sip by sip with a glass of water, and then you can do the coffee would be my recommendation. Let's see. Um, so I'm drinking mushroom coffee. Are those good? I don't know how I feel about all these mushroom coffees coming out. Um, Especially because a lot of these mushroom coffees, the mushroom that they are putting in there that really gives you the energy is cordyceps. Cordyceps is amazing. It increases the amount of oxygen that your cells can receive. It helps your body to produce adenosine triphosphate, ATP, that is cellular energy. But it is one of those herbs that raises your testosterone levels. So for younger women, I've just seen it so many times that you want to be careful with that. So what I like to do, and again, check out that coffee recipe. The only coffee brand that I trust, don't get me wrong, I like Paul Stamets brand, even though I can't remember the name right now, which is crazy because I love it. But they use the mycelium as opposed to the fruiting bodies. And in the mycology world, there's kind of like this debate on which is more medicinal, the mycelium or the fruiting body. The mycelium is kind of the substrate that the mushrooms grow on. I'm on the fruiting body side. I believe that there's a chemical reaction that happens from the mycelium to the fruiting body, and the fruiting bodies have more medicine. So my favorite company is Ohm. Host Defense is Paul Stamets. There it is, Host Defense. But my favorite is Ohm, O-M. And I get their mushroom powders and I just put it right in my coffee cup. Mostly, I just stick with reishi and turkey and lion's mane. Reishi helps to reduce the acidity of the coffee. It helps to lower any potential cortisol responses. The lion's mane nourishes your nervous system, helps like if you tend to be more a little anxious when you drink your coffee, it helps reduce that. Um, so yeah, just make sure check always for like other ingredients and because they slip stuff in there. So read your labels, look at the labels, look at everything that's in there, and look for that little line that says other ingredients because they sneak stuff in there. All right. Oh, I'm so glad, Becky. Me too. I love doing this with everybody. So, do you have different resources for women who are premenopause, perimenopause, and postmenopause regarding fluid intake, protein amounts, types, and amount and intensity levels of exercise? Yes, but again, so that those are all pretty personal, right? Like what I mean by that is every woman is going to respond to these phases of their lives differently, and a lot of it has to do like already what's their current state of health before they enter the perimenopause stage, right? What when I tell you the artificial fragrances, I have just seen it make women's life miserable when they go through these phases because it's so hard on the endocrine system. Um, and there are women have just so many different experiences. Some are really hungry, some aren't hungry. I definitely think good, healthy fats. Um, as far as like intensity levels of exercise, I know some women they're running marathons and others aren't running anything. So again, it's just more who is that woman? What's her current state of health? What are her symptoms? Yeah. Now, if anybody in here experiences hot flashes, I've got something that can help with that so much, and it helps because it's helping to regulate the hormones. Um, eating liver and eating liver organ helps support liver and eyes. Yup. If you can eat, I've never eaten eyeballs, you guys, but I would. If I knew it came from a good place, I would. Kidneys, liver, oh, beef heart. Yeah. Valentina says, personally, she prefers cacao over coffee. She finds it less draining on her body than coffee. Yep, a lot of people love cacao. And again, if your body is the type of body to respond negatively to coffee, maybe you have more of a dry constitution. There's so many reasons that it could be. Cacao is a great replacement for it, especially if you love that like hot cup of just, because green tea is great too, but it's not the same. Someone said, I know a doctor who fasts and drinks morning mushroom coffee and water when fasting. That's like, and I know Dr. William Lee. I'm reading his books right now, and he talks about using coffee, and it doesn't break the fast unless you put creamer in there or something with fats. Valentina says there's a store in Jacksonville that she finds that sells kidneys, liver, heart. Organ meats are so nutritious. Yeah. So if you're in Jacksonville, do you know the name of that store, Valentina? And I know here in St. Augustine at the farmers market, Natural Springs Dairy, they sell, or they did, and there's also that Florida Beef Company. They're not at the market anymore, but they're local, and they have beef heart, kidneys, liver. Let's see. Does anybody else have any more questions? I'm having fun.
It is fun.
So, Cameron, I have a question pertaining to dark chocolate and cacao. So we're talking about the dark chocolate bars like Who and other brands that are higher quantity of cacao, 70 above. I've noticed that there are warning labels on like the bag of cacao powder that it may have high concentrate of metals in it, like cadmium. Then I also saw a consumer report, I think it was from 2024, that tested, and again, yeah, I did not check to see who owns Consumer Report, right? Because is it slanted or not? But they claim that they tested like 28 different dark chocolate bars, and all of them had high contents of cadmium, and I forgot what the other metal was. And my understanding is that that metal comes from the earth. Is this a concern for our health in indulging?
I'm gonna share my thoughts and then I'd like to invite Valentina to chime in if she wants to, because I feel like she has a much more deeper and intimate relationship with cacao and chocolate than I do. But one thing that I do know is that a lot of like herbs, for instance, if they come in through California, it's this strange law where everything has to have that warning on it. So I don't know if that's part of it, like where is it coming in from? But if it is like being imported through California, that's a law. Like everything that comes in through California has to have that warning. Valentina, do you have anything to add?
Well, I want to add that I didn't know about the California law, so I think that that's something to definitely look into. But what I will say is that like a lot of things in our world, the industries have a really dark side to them. And cacao, chocolate is one of those industries because for the longest time, I believe it's 80% of the cacao in the world. And I also have a degree in international business, and I had to do like a research on a specific country, and the country I got was like this country where it's like 70 or 80% of the world's cacao is grown in the Ivory Coast, and it's done through child slavery and slavery.
So sad.
Oh, I don't know what happened, Valentina.
I just got muted, but it's all good. But yeah, so to say that in places like this, like I don't know what the regulation is because cadmium comes from phosphate fertilizers too. So it depends on like the geographical location, the kind of fertilizers they're using. So what I would say is to check in on the sources. So personally, like I think that this is the ideal thing to do with all of our produce, not just cacao, but like, can you really know the origin? Because if you don't, like, there's so much from the packaging, the way it's grown, etc., that we don't know about it. And there's a lot of things that are not required to be put in labels. So as far as cacao goes, personally, I opt for like smaller co-ops in places like Guatemala or Colombia or Peru. Because I mean, I don't know if there's anything like that in Africa. But I think that the production of cacao is going to start changing because I think a lot of the trees there have diseases, so it's going to shift. And I would say that it's good to look into things like this for coffee as well, because a lot of these products are grown in what we consider third world countries, and depending on the kind of business it is, like there's a lot of things going underground. So I would say that. And also like really check other ingredients too, because sometimes, you know, like there's something called greenwashing. So they'll market products in a way that makes you think they're healthy because they literally spend millions of dollars on marketing to know how to get consumers to buy whatever they're selling. So it's like I always recommend too, and I know Cam is an advocate for this too. It's like read the label, read the ingredients list, because just what it says on the front is not enough. And consider that legally there's things that don't have to be put on there. For example, whenever it says natural flavors or natural whatever, that that's yeah, there's um it's a long conversation, but let's just say that it's not really natural and a lot can be fit into that. So always opt for like ingredients you understand, and when possible, because usually it is more expensive, but when possible, do try to get things from places that you can trust. And that's my take on that.
Yeah, no, I love it. I like to remind people that like mercury's natural, and like there are these things
Right.
that's natural that aren't. So just because something says natural does not mean that it's good for you. And another thing too, like it'll say like, spice blend. So it'd be worth it to look into like what is legally allowed to fall under the category of spices. And there's this cool video I'll have to find. I watched it a few months back, and the way a lot of these companies get away with putting a lot of toxins into our food is because so much of it can fall under spice. So therefore they don't have to put every ingredient. And unfortunately, this happens. And, if you guys can, I'll find a way to like put it all in one place to show you. But I watched all these documentaries on how things like Cheetos and Oreos and these foods are made in the factory. They let you watch it step by step. And it's crazy the way that they bleach these things and all of these sanitizers that they run the food through before they start adding colors to it. It's wild. So the less amount of ingredients something has, the best, and the more local your food came from, the best too. And while that's not the case for everybody, and not everybody can do that, I'm also a big advocate for praying over your food. Not everybody has the means to get everything organic. Sometimes people have to get these boxed, preserved things in order to survive, and that's okay. Just little changes over time. Now that you have the awareness, I don't ever want anybody to like eat their food and be like, oh man, this is poisoning me. If that's what you have to eat, if you have other options, choose other options. But pray over your food, thank it for its nourishment, the strength it's going to give you. Um, and just every little chance you get to make a change, do it. Let's see. Frankenstein foods. Yeah, man.
Cam, I would like to add something to what you just said, because in my own journey, yeah, there like I've thought about this a lot too, not only from things that I've observed, but in my own life. Like I haven't always been in a place where, I could get the most fresh, organic, whatever foods. And it's like, what do you do then? And consider that Jacksonville, it has the number one food desert in the United States. That's crazy. And a food
Wow.
is a place. I mean, that was a fact when I was in nutrition, and at UNF. I don't know if it still is, but for some time it was. Like literally number one food desert in the country is in Jacksonville. And what a food desert is that essentially it's like a place that where they don't have access to grocery store. All the food they have access to is what you can find at a gas station. So that's that's crazy. And so in thinking about different populations or like, life happens and sometimes you don't necessarily have the money to buy like the most organic, local, whatever, which, I do also think that's the highest standard. But I think that a good rule of thumb is like do your best to get as simple ingredients as possible and understand that I think the reason why making shifts takes so long is because we're creatures of habits and because it is a lot of new information to like come into. But for example, like as far as household things, like there's few ingredients that you could use to clean a lot of things, and that are
Vinegar.
cheaper. Yeah, vinegar, baking
Almost
soda,
everything.
yeah, literally. And then for food, yeah, just focus on like do as many ingredients as possible. So instead of buying, I don't know, cookies that have like 40 ingredients on them so they can have long shelf life, get you some flour, eggs, butter, and
And make cookies for a week.
molasses, and that's a sugar content that has higher minerals, and boom, you have it. So I
Yeah,
mean, it's your foods, but yeah, like simple foods.
I
Thank
love it.
you. I love
Yeah,
you.
thank you. All right, everybody. Last call. Anybody have one last question? Thank you for coming, DFC9. You the best. Cool. Thank you everybody so much for joining. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know if I hit the right record button, y'all. I'm so praying we did because this was such a great one, but maybe it's, if you're here, you're here, and if you're not, you're not. I
It
love you.
said it said you were recording, Cam.
I know I said that last time too, and I recorded to the computer and not to the cloud. So we shall see. We shall
Okay.
see. Good to see you, Tina. I can see your picture. Mwah. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night. I love you, and I'll talk to all of you soon.
Love you.
Bye.
Do I get out? Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Amy.
Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
Nance.